Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. India have won their third Super Fours match. Close match. Let's get into this review. Starting off with the playing 11s, they made two changes. They rested Bumrah and brought in Harshit Rana, and they left out Shivam Dubey to bring in Arshdeep Singh. As far as the playing combination goes, I think they've reached the correct combination. I've said before where with this batting lineup, you don't need batting to number 8. Bringing Arshdeep Singh would mean Bumrah would not have to bowl as many overs in the power play. You've got the three fast bowlers, where Hardik Pandya bowled one over today, then he went off injured, but you've got three fast bowlers, then three spinners. It gives the bowling assurance, and the batting is already looking good. So I think they've reached the correct combination after experimenting. They have been experimenting, sending batsmen out at different positions, but I think this is where I wanted them to reach with their playing combination. And I think they have reached that now. They are more likely to play Arshdeep Singh. And now for Sri Lanka. I'd said that looking at their squad, you cannot strengthen the batting. They were playing Kavin Mishara in the earlier matches, then they dropped him. And because of that, I said they should play the extra fast bowler to bowl in the power play. Instead, they played Janit Lianage, whose contribution today was facing two deliveries at the end and he didn't bowl. So I don't understand the thinking behind that. And they won the toss, chose to bowl first. Nuwan Tushara bowled the first over. Now, would you rather Chamira bowl the second over or Mahesh Deekshana bowling the second over against Indian batsmen? I don't understand it. I've said this for all the teams that you've got to have at least two attacking seamers in the power play, especially when bowling to this Indian team. And whichever opponent they have faced, they have not had that. And that's the reason why India have been able to get off to such starts in the power play, because the other teams have not fielded two seamers who can bowl in the power play and look to pick wickets. And in the previous match, Theekshana and Hasaranga bowled economically. When Theekshana was introduced at first change, he didn't bowl the second over. I don't know what made them give him the bowl in this case. And the first four overs yielded 43 runs. I've said many times about Dushmantha Chameera that he's someone who could bowl well with a new ball, not at the death. And since he's bowled 4 overs in, he's not going to be as effective. He goes for 20 runs in his first 2 overs, then 20 runs with the death. So I thought it was very poor planning from Sri Lanka. As far as India is concerned, Abhishek Sharma, another 61. And Tilak Verma, he walked out closer to in position, although he walked out at 4. Maybe they are looking at the left-right combination again. But he walked out closer to in position and scored 49. He played well. And then looking through the lineup, you've got Sanju Samson. I think the biggest positive of this batting performance was that Sanju Samson at 5. I didn't know how he'd go because I'd never seen him score runs at 5. But today he walked out towards the end of the 9th over, and he was on 12 off 10. Then he hit a couple of sixes off Hasaranga, and he was able to score at such a rate at number 5, which I think was the biggest positive from this batting innings. And India getting to 202 for 5, once again showing that they do not need batting at number 8. And from Sri Lanka's perspective, I've said quite a few times that the fifth bowler is their weakness. When you can't strengthen your batting, you should look to play a fifth bowler. Instead, Dasun Shanaka 1 for 23 and 2. Charit Asalanka 1 for 18 and 2, and it was a drag down that picked up the wicket of Abhishek Sharma. So 4 overs for 41 runs. Is that a contribution when you've not used your other bowlers correctly? Is that a contribution that's going to claw things back? I don't think so. We saw what happened. And now for the Indian bowling effort, Arshdeep Singh has not been playing many matches for India of late because he didn't play in the Champions Trophy, he didn't play in the Test Series versus England, and now he's only played 2 matches when Bumrah's been rested. So I wasn't surprised with how his first 2 overs went, where he bowled slightly short, but then he bowled well in the last 2. Harshit Rana, I thought his 3 overs unfortunately lacked direction, but then he defended 12 runs in the last over. And Kuldeep Yadav, Varun Chakravarti, I think, went for 41 in their first 4 overs. And then both of them end up with 1 for 31 and 4. I've said this before, where you've got cases when those two bowl, the batsmen do not know which way the ball is going to turn. And after that, they help claw things back and create that scoreboard pressure for Sri Lanka. I think it was those two that started it off. And given this batting lineup for Sri Lanka, the moment Kusal Perera was dismissed, I knew that India were going to win the match. It's where I've mentioned this before during the IPL. I don't think Kusal Mendes should open the batting, despite that's what they have been doing in this lineup, and sometimes he has performed well. I've mentioned that he's got a weakness to the moving ball, and we saw today where he was nicked off to the outswinger. So what I would do is, I would have played Kusal Mendes at number 4, where at times he has succeeded, and then I'd play an Avishka Fernando, who's similar to Pathum Nissanka. He scores runs in a similar way, a class player. You can extend this batting lineup by playing Kusal Mendes at maybe number 4, Avishka Fernando, to open with Pathum Nissanka. Instead, I knew that when the top 3 was dismissed, they were not going to chase this score down, and we saw what happened after that. And the super over, maybe Pathum Nissanka was he unable to bat, I don't know. But you're sending out Kamindu Mendes at number 3 when Dasun Shanaka scored an unbeaten 22 off 11 during the play. And what they could have done is, if Pathum Nissanka was fit to bat, they could have opened with him and sent Shanaka at 3. I didn't understand that either. That's why he scored 2 runs, and we saw what happened. So, a lack of strategic application from Sri Lanka's perspective. And if you're looking at the bench strength that they've selected, they haven't selected Dishan Malushankar, they haven't selected Ishan Malinga, they've not selected Avishka Fernando, I've mentioned. So there's no one on the bench who's going to play in the first team. Yet you're trying to strengthen your batting when you can't. And the 5th bowler has been a weakness since the T20 World Cup. They still are going with that same route. I don't understand that. For India, they found their combination. They'll be playing the final on Sunday, and I'll post a preview for that. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe, share with your friends. That is my opinion.